¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos?
Welcome everyone, welcome. Today we have a very special guest. Got Luis to my left and Luis to my right. And today we're gonna be discussing DACA. So please introduce yourself a little more formally.
Sure. I'm Luis Perez. I'm the Legal Services Director at CHIRLA, and not a DACA recipient because I missed it by 3 months, but I've been doing DACA work since 2012. So we've seen over 10,000 DACA cases at CHIRLA. So we're here to talk about a lot of the issues with DACA and answer some questions.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you for having me. My name is Luis Tadeo. I manage CHIRLA's digital communications, but most importantly, I'm a DACA beneficiary.
Mm-hmm. Hi everybody, Pedro Trujillo, you already know me, but actually I used to be a DACA recipient, was one for 4 years. No longer am a DACA recipient, but I know some of the DACA struggles, the pre-DACA struggles, and the DACA struggles.
And I guess I'll introduce myself too, since everyone did so too. My name is Janice Kamiya. I am the downtown LA organizer with CHIRLA, also a DACA beneficiary. And today, our hot topic, if you haven't noticed, is DACA. So first of all, I want to open up with asking, why are we talking about DACA when DACA has been around for a while now?
Well, DACA has been around for 7 years now, but it actually died on September 5th, 2017, when the president rescinded the executive order. And then the courts brought it back, and that's why we still have it. But technically, the program has been under attack under this president, and we're talking about the issues, well, the status of the current program, where it is, and where we're heading, because there's some important dates that are coming by that we want to talk about so that people that have DACA or who have family members with DACA are aware of what to expect in the next few months.
And then can we talk a little bit more about what you mean by DACA is dead now? So what is the difference between 2 years ago DACA and what DACA is today?
So DACA was an executive program created by President Obama in 2012. And this program is not a law. It was just an executive program that was called Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. Deferred action really means that even though they're undocumented, they're not going to take any action against them. They're not going to try to deport them while they have this DACA protection. A lot of people think that this is a work permit, but the work permit is just one of the added benefits. But the real benefit of DACA, of that program, was that the government promised not to take actions to deport them. So that's the protection that we're looking at losing when the program is no longer available.
So for CHIRLA's Legal Services Department, what's the recommendations right now, since the DACA program is going to go to the Supreme Court?
So we've had campaigns the last 2 years urging folks who have DACA to renew it as soon as they can, right? To renew it within a year. What was the name of our earlier campaign?
Unstoppable Dreams.
Unstoppable Dreams. We also had the Renewed
and Secure was another,
which was a way to tell people, even though you have a whole year left, renew it now so that you could secure 2 years. So that's what we're trying to look at right now too. So the real advice from us at CHIRLA has been, if your DACA is going to expire anytime in 2020, you should be renewing before the end of the year so that you could at least be in the pipeline to renew for an additional 2 years.
I want us to step back a little bit and before we even dive into like some of the questions that we have, some people might be watching this for the first time, and I want us to tackle what is DACA? Like, what if someone doesn't know, right? So can you explain it at least real quick?
Again, DACA is an executive program, not a law. It protects folks that were brought to the U.S. before the age of 16, and they've lived here in the U.S. before 2007. So if you came after June 15, 2007, then you're no longer eligible for this program. So this is folks that both came before the age of 16 and before June 15, 2007. Those are the people that qualify. So it doesn't require that you're young, because some of those people are actually now in 35, 36, 37, some 38, right? As long as they came before 2007. So this program was a way to alleviate the fact that we couldn't get the Federal Dream Act. The DRINK Act was the law that was going to have a path to citizenship. We couldn't get that in 2010. So there was a lot of advocacy from the undocumented youth to get something from the president, and that came in the way of deferred action for childhood arrivals, DACA. So again, it's not a law, it's a temporary program. You get to get a work permit and the protection from deportation 2 years at a time. So every 2 years you need to be renewing for this program.
And if I recall correctly, when the program first started, it was the advanced parole was a part of it, right? Which is that people could travel outside the country with the permission of the government.
Right. Well, that was an additional benefit. Once you were granted DACA, you had to apply. That's a separate application to have the permit to be able to travel outside of the country and return with no issues. That's no longer available. The president tried to terminate this program on September 5th, 2017. And it ended they actually gave us 1 month to renew for the last time, right? So there was September 5th, 2017 to October 5th being the deadline for anybody to renew or apply. After October 5th, the program was really dead, and it wasn't until January of 2018, the following year, that the Ninth Circuit, the court here in California, brought back the program through an order. They ordered the Department of USCIS, they ordered them to continue to do DACA, at least the renewals. Unfortunately, this injunction really didn't allow for new people to join and took away the ability for them to apply for advanced parole and travel outside of the country. So since, I believe it's January 10th, 2018, we've only been able to do renewals. And there's been, I believe, 8 other courts who have ruled the same way. The ability to renew, but also have ruled in favor of DACA, saying this is a program that President Obama had the right to do, and also that President Trump didn't get rid of it properly, that there was some issues with the way that he tried to get rid of it, calling it unconstitutional when it hasn't been proved that it is unconstitutional. So there's been issues with the way that this president tried to get rid of it, and that's what's really going to be the question at the Supreme Court. Was this program constitutional? Did the president properly try to get rid of it?
¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos?
I want to ask you something. So you're part of our communications team, and so you mentioned how this program was actually terminated back in 2017. The community, how are they reacting from when it ended in 2017 and it was able to continue, and how are they reacting now that there's an actual potential that it might potentially be terminated?
It's interesting because with DACA beneficiaries, you get like the surge of action, right? When DACA first initiated, there was so much movement and so much engagement from youth, immigrant youth, that were ready to apply. And then at some point it was terminated and then allowed to continue, and there was very minimal action. People were just content with the fact that they were able to renew, and the fact that now there's a real possibility of it ending, it's starting to pique their interest again. And that's what we want, right? We want people to engage, we want people to really think about what would happen if you lose your permit, not only to you, but your family and your friends and the people that depend on you. So yeah, there's a lot of movement now.
So I want to address how Luis said that DACA isn't just a work permit. It's actually a protection against deportation. But we want to acknowledge that this government is continuously putting more money into detention centers, into enforcement. And the DACA beneficiaries are handing out their information to the government every 2 years. So they know where you work, they know where you live, they know who lives at your house. And there's a potential that you might lose that protection against deportation. So I really want to make sure people acknowledge that. And then Pedro, you also mentioned that you used to be a DACA beneficiary. And I want you to share with us how it is that, what does DACA mean to you besides the work permit, besides the protection against deportation? What was DACA to you?
So I had the opportunity to go to college in California because we had AB 540, a state law, right? But there was no financial aid, and so it was really tough being undocumented without DACA, trying to get an education, finding jobs that didn't require a social security number, right? Just hustling to get by, and so it was really, really tough. But it's not impossible. But obviously, when DACA came around, having a job with an air-conditioned room, having that opportunity, right, as opposed to not having that opportunity at all. And so many scholarships that I ran into when I was in in college that required a social security number, a valid social security number. And so that if I had the opportunity to have, a college, going through my college years and have DACA, right, with a social security number, it would have made it so much more easier. I would have so many more opportunities. And we're talking about the potential now of DACA ending. And so what are some avenues, Luis, in terms of like the Supreme Court? What could they do? What decisions could they make?
Right. So I mentioned that there was 9 cases around the country in different district courts that are going to be now heard as one case in the Supreme Court, and this is going to take place on November 12th. So in November 12th, the Supreme Court is going to hear the argument in favor of DACA and then the government against DACA. There's a likelihood that there won't be a decision until sometime between January 3rd of 2020 and June 29th of 2020. So November 12th, that's just the hearing. We won't see a decision until the following year. And there's really no way of knowing what's gonna happen, right? We might win or we might lose. Those are the 2 outcomes. Right. But there's different ways that can happen. We've considered looking at 4, right? 2 ways of winning is we win DACA and it's full back at 100% where new people are able to apply. People who have DACA are able to do advanced parole and travel outside of the country. That will be the full part, winning DACA in full. There's also a way of winning it partially, which is what we currently have, winning DACA, but just for those that currently have it and their ability to continue to renew. And then we consider 2 scenarios where we lose. One would be where we lose and it's immediate. As of that day, your work permits will be expired as of that day. Or the more likely way of losing would be that you would no longer be able to renew, but DACA would expire when your individual work permit expires. So that's meaning like a sunset or winding down DACA based on what you have remaining in your work permit. So that's what we want to prepare for. If we win, great, we won. We have DACA, we could get more people to apply. We could get people to go to visit their grandparents or to study abroad or to do jobs outside of the country. But if we lose, we want to be ready for having the maximum amount of time left on your work permit. And there's close to 400,000 people, DACA recipients, whose DACA is going to expire in 2020. So those is 380,000 of them. If we wait until January or June to find out what the decision is, and we're given only a month to renew the way that they did in September 5th of 2017, there's no way that we're going to be able to help close to 400,000 people apply in 1 month or some sort of deadline like the one we've seen before. And that's why we want people to prepare for that losing scenario and apply now to renew so that they have another 2 years of protection.
¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos?
I have a question for you, Luis, if I may. Let's think worst case scenario. DACA's completely terminated for good. What are the real consequences? I'm thinking 10-year ban, 10-year bar, I'm thinking unlawful presence. Can you sort of explore that?
Right. Well, if DACA is terminated, whether in either way, immediately or once your DACA expires, the effects of you being out of status means that if you're over the age of 18, you start accruing unlawful presence, right? 1 year or more than 1 year, you might be subject to what they call el castigo de 10 años, right? Or the 3-year bar or the 10-year bar, meaning that if you ever wanted to adjust and you had to leave the country, the moment you step out of the country, you activate a 10-year bar, and then you have to go through the waiver, el perdón, to try to do without those 10 years that you're required to be outside of the country. So it does create situations that we want to avoid. So too, like Pedro used to have DACA. While he had DACA, he looked for a better status to have, right? So if you have DACA, you should really be looking at, is there something more permanent, more beneficial that I could do to go from DACA, which is a temporary permit, to something that leads to citizenship at one point. So that's what we encourage people to do now, not just to sit around and wait for the decisions to come down, but to be proactive and look at what they can be doing to improve their status. Because DACA is good. There's people that don't have it. There's a lot of people who were waiting to turn 15 to be able to age into the program. But because the president ended it, all these 15-year-olds were never had the opportunity to apply. So there's a lot that people can be doing now. Those who have DACA renew if they have the resources to do it immediately, but I would encourage them to do it no longer than by the end of the year.
What's CHIRLA doing to help keep the program alive?
Well, CHIRLA is part of a national campaign, and starting October 3rd, we're going to see resources both at CHIRLA and in organizations like CHIRLA across the country. We're partnering with Forward US, United We Dream, with the National Center for NILC. So we're partnering with a lot of folks around the country so that it's not just about what CHIRLA is doing in LA, but what resources are going to be available around the country for people who don't have money. There might be resources for them to renew, or there might be even just having accessibility to free legal services may be what they could take advantage during this campaign. And again, it's not just renewing for DACA, but possibly looking at a consultation to see if there's something better for you to do to improve your status in the United States, make it more permanent.
Awesome. So I know there's a lot of action going on at the national level, but I know also in California we're throwing down, and more specifically at CHIRLA we're throwing down. And I want to talk to you, Diana, and also Pedro as field organizers. What's the plan? What are the upcoming actions? How do you plan to tackle this?
Well, my plan is to make DACA people wake up. It's really hard to move forward when you only have 4 or 5 people showing up to your events. So the first thing is really activating the base, the DACA recipients, and we're really trying to expand the narrative outside of like the dreamer. So we really need those folks that have the most to lose, the folks that bought houses, the folks that started families, the folks that have better jobs now because of DACA to come out and step out and just really stand up because you have the most to lose. So that's the first step, just activating the DACA base.
And in California, we're the largest the state with the largest amount of DACA recipients across the nation. And so we have to take action, right? There's no way we can be quiet across the state of California as this is happening before our eyes. Like, we have to really take action, take matters into our own hands, because we have the most to lose, right? And our families have the most to lose, and our state has the most to lose, not just from the communities, but even like finance, right? Just all the contributions that DACA folks make now.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. And then also just want to make something very clear. Like, everybody who is a DACA beneficiary and everybody that lives in this country stands to lose a lot, right? And everything if DACA is terminated. Even for those folks that are barely getting by, whatever that means, losing DACA can also affect you and the people that you love.
¿Quiénes somos? 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 ¿Quiénes somos?
Let's talk about sort of maybe the resources that we're going to make available. I know that maybe you want to announce, Luis, our DACA campaign, a DACA renewal campaign, and what your legal team plans to do.
Right, so we're having legal clinics at CHIRLA. So we're going to be working every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday to help folks apply for DACA. We're also fundraising to try to get money to help them pay for the USCIS fees. We even have a partnership that you might want to talk about with a celebrity who wants to help us fundraise this money to help people, DACA recipients who can't afford to pay the $495, pay for that. So we're doing a lot. Not just to provide the service every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, but also fundraising to get resources to help those that are in financial need and don't have the money just to pay for it.
And this is at the main downtown LA office,
This
right?
is the DACA clinics will happen at the downtown LA office for CHIRLA. But on our website, we will have our campaign where even if you're not in the LA area, by going to this campaign that's going to be available at CHIRLA.org, you'll be able to see what organization closest to you in your state or in your city is a part of this campaign and able to help you access those same resources.
Nice.
And you're also a social media guru and website developer, you know? So where are you plugging folks in?
Yeah, so speaking about the website, we're actually launching a new microsite, daca.chirla.org. And this is going to be a space where community members, people affected, and allies can use that space as not only a place where they can tell their stories, but where they can get a ton of resources. For example, like Luis mentioned, we just collaborated with Fresh Montana and I Am an Immigrant, and we'll have the t-shirt sales on our website. Obviously, we'll have a way for you to donate to our DACA Trust Fund. We really, really encourage that. We have funds right now, but obviously that's going to run out really quickly, so we encourage everyone to pitch in at least $1 or $2. It really makes a difference. But use the microsite. Again, daca.chirla.org. It's a space for you all to share your stories, to shift the narrative across the nation, and to really let the world know, hey, home is here. And then that's a reality, right? We have deep roots in this country. Whether it's someone you love, we really have deep roots, and we just really have to remind folks through a narrative shift that home is here.
Right, so Home is Here is actually the name of the national campaign. And on this campaign starts October 3rd.
October 2nd.
October 2nd?
Yeah, we launch October 2nd at the national level. Yeah.
Right, and then after that, there's gonna be Facebook Live events to help people navigate this process. There's going to be DACA clinics, fundraisers. There's going to be activities, some big activities that are going to happen across the country leading to November 2nd. And again, this is to try to get a good outcome out of the Supreme Court, but also we can't just rely on those decisions. We really need to be proactive, do our part to prepare for the worst case scenario.
Well, thank you, folks. I think that's been a very fruitful conversation. If you need a DACA renewal, let us know through a personal message or actually visit daca.chirla.org. You'll find tons of useful information. Luis or Diana, do you know, or Pedro, do you know the number or hotline number that folks can call if they have any immediate questions?
All right, you can call our hotline at 1-888-6-CHIRLA.
So Pedro, what are you holding right now?
We also have membership, so get involved. Become a dues-paying member of the organization. $25 goes a long way, and it helps contribute to this type of work, not only the organizing, but also the legal services that we have.
And while we're here, let's just plug it all in, The census is coming up too. It's right around the corner. Visit our website. We do have digital census pledge cards that you can fill out. Make sure that you're counted. Contamos contigo. That's it, right? Anything else?
The DACA Trust Fund.
DACA Trust Fund. Make sure you donate. We need that money. We really do.
¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos?